hear her saying this, said, and I quote, "For me, love isn't touchy-feely. It's a decision of the will. I think actions speak a whole lot louder than words," and I think she hit McKeel with her elbow. And she's right. You don't fall in love or fall out of love. Instead, you wake up every single day and choose to love. As Lewis says in the quote, true love is maintained by the will. Second, true love is, as Lewis writes, just deliberately strengthened by habit. Rest assured, I am not a Phil Collins fan, but when he's saying we've got a groovy kind of love, he was on to something. The term groovy originated because the old 45s had grooves that held the record player's needle, thereby shaping the music. The song of true love in a marriage is shaped by the daily habits, the rhythms, the patterns, the disciplines, the grooves, the decisions to love well and to love often. Grooves that include, but aren't limited to, always being able to say, I am wrong, and I'm sorry. Will you please forgive me? Fixing not one, but 2 cups of coffee in the morning. Brushing your teeth every night. Not prosecuting your partner with you always, or you never, but rather offering, sometimes when you say this or do that, I feel this or feel that. Being that one safe person that will listen well in an opinionated and boisterous world. The third thing that we learn from this passage is that marriage is a deep unity. In the first book of the Bible, the book of Genesis, this is said about marriage. A man will leave his father and his mother and will be united to his wife, and the two will become one flesh. And it went on to say, and Adam and Eve, as the story goes, were naked, one before the other, and experienced no shame. We live in a shame-saturated world. We prey upon one another, and we're preyed upon. Each of us contemptuously attempting to expose or shame another into resignation or defeat. Marriage forms a hospitable environment for true love to flourish. The deep unity of marriage, as Lewis calls it, is the one safe place on the planet where we can be physically, emotionally, relationally, and spiritually exposed before the other, and yet experience no shame. In this world, shame is dished out daily. In marriage, one is given the opportunity, when the other is completely exposed and vulnerable, to say, do not be ashamed. I love you. And finally, Lewis offers reinforcement to the will to love, the habits of love, and the deep unity of marriage. He calls this reinforcement the grace of God, and claims that we will always receive it when we ask for it. I suppose this is the one moment in a brief ceremony where I'll be the most thoroughly Christian. Apologies, Michelle. But having now experienced 12 years of marriage, I can attest that there are many moments where one fails miserably in producing a decision of the will to love, in practicing the everyday habits of love, and in preserving the deep unity of marriage. In those moments of great failure, when I desperately need grace, when I longingly want to be forgiven, but cannot even forgive myself, I go to God to ask for forgiveness, to petition for grace. For me, this reinforcement has been a deep reservoir and is yet to run dry. It's my sincere hope and prayer for you, McKeel and Joanne, that through your unyielding will and diligent habit, you will cultivate a deep unity in marriage that will bless you every single one of your days. This time we have invited both fathers, Gerard and Poe, to offer a charge to the bride to groom. So I don't know which of you is sharing first. Poe will share first. Wherever you like.
Good afternoon, everybody. Buddha Midaho. I'm Po Chen. I'm Joanne father. First, I'd like to welcome everybody here for coming to this beautiful wedding. Many of you have traveled a long way, some from Europe, some from East Coast, to be here with us today. And we are very happy and appreciate this. I also like to welcome Mihiel's family, Mr. and Mrs. Post Vander Molen. This is a union of two international families. In this, today, in this lovely garden, we are sharing the joy of Joanne and Mihiel's marriage. Standing together, we all agree that they all look very perfect. When Joanne was a little baby, we named her
No crying, Joanne.
Wawa. She looks just like a little lovely doll. In fact, my sister, my uncle, and Mrs. Bredengut still call her Wawa up to this day. And Wawa is the only name they know about her. Before kindergarten, Joanne was like our little puppy. Anywhere we went, she would follow us, refusing to be left alone. And she refused to go to bed until we went to bed. If her mother was washing the dishes in the kitchen, she would get herself a little stool and standing up on the stool and washing dishes along with her mother. Joanne just couldn't stand to be alone for just 1 second. A few days ago, my wife and I were looking through Joanne's old baby pictures. And in one of those pictures, Joanne's mother was busy curling her hair with her curling iron one morning in the bathroom. At first, Joanne was just watching from the hallway, but soon she could not stand not doing anything as she watched her mother curling her hair. So she decided to do something. And naturally, Joanne grabbed some plastic hair roller of her own, but her little arms couldn't quite reach around the top of her head to roll her own hair. So what did Joanne do? Wanting to be just like her mother, Joanne decided to open her very own hair salon right there in the living room. And who was her first customer? That would be me. Joanne forced me to sit still on the living room couch and she very carefully and expertly pressed a handful of her mother's plastic hair roller into my hair. And she wetted my hair with a bottle of a glass of water. So 1 hour later, my hair turned into what looked like a bird's nest. And Joanne was very happy with her own hard work. Now, as Joanne grew older, she did learn to become a little more independent. But Joanne was always a very affectionate little daughter. She always loved to be hugged. Even throughout high school, she would come home from school at night, and she would climb into her mother's lap after dinner, and she would say, "Huggy, huggy." A long hot day at school, Joanne just wanted to cuddle with her mother. And then Joanne went off to college at University of Pennsylvania. But even when she came home at Thanksgiving or Christmas, it was more of the same. She would climb into her mother's lap after dinner, huggy, huggy. It didn't matter what, that she was 22 years old and miles away. And she got the chance, anytime she got a chance to visit home, it was always huggy, huggy. Well, Joanne made it through the college and began working in New York City. She was living on her own and all grown up. During the week, she was working at Illinois, and on the weekend, she was earning her MBA from Wharton. But all habits die hard. She would come back to visit us in Tennessee whenever she could get some vacation days. And wherever she did, it was more of the same. She would climb into her mother's lap and ask for huggy, huggy. Yep, she was 20 years old and now. Well, there is a happy ending to this story. 2 years ago, Joanne came home to visit us in Tennessee for Thanksgiving. And she brought me here along to meet us for the first time. I know Joanne must have been very nervous about the trip, but me here immediately put everyone to ease with his warm and very social personality. Still, we were very eager to see just how much Joanne has grown up since meeting with me here. And I'm very happy to report that for the first time, I can remember that night, Joanne did not climb into her mother's lap. So we are very happy to report that our little Joanne has grown up. Only just a little bit. But she is still the same sweet, affectionate girl that we call Wawa. And I'm so happy that all of you have come here to share this special day with us and with Joanne. Thank you. And now I would like to introduce Mr. Host Vander Bode.